and welcome to this demonstration of vulnerability intelligence in Tenable Security Center. Today, we'll go through how this feature can help cybersecurity teams quickly identify and prioritize vulnerabilities with comprehensive data and contextual intelligence. As part of this, we'll also highlight the addition of CVSSv4 and EPSS scoring directly in the product, giving you even deeper insight into risk prioritization. So let's dive in. First, after logging into Tenable Security Center, go to the left-hand menu and select Vulnerability Intelligence. This takes us to the main dashboard where we can see an overview of the vulnerabilities across our environment. Here, you'll notice immediate access to critical information with key metrics. In the main dashboard, vulnerabilities are categorized as you can see, which help us prioritize. We quickly know what are the CVEs, the findings linked to our environment, and the asset affected by those vulnerabilities. After selecting high-severity vulnerabilities, like for example, top VPR, top 50 VPR, we get a list that automatically sorted based on impact here, based on the CVSSv4. This helped us zero in on the most critical vulnerability that may require immediate action. Now, let's move on to the search functionality at the top of the Vulnerability Intelligence page. In the search bar, you can input, for example, a vulnerability ID, here CVE 2010-3, and we'll see that it auto-completes and filters down to specific vulnerability matching the term. This makes it quick and easy to find relevant vulnerability without having to scroll down through a long list. In this view, you will see a breakdown with essential information such as the Vulnerability Priority Rating, VPR, the CVSSv4 and the EPSS score. For CVE 2023 44487, the VPR and CVSS score highlight the potential impact, while a high EPSS score show the likelihood of exploitation in the wild. Scrolling down, you will notice additional tabs including Event, Scores, Plugins, Product, and Summary, which offer more context about the vulnerability. Clicking on Score, we can see a trend of the vulnerability over time, showing how the risk level has evolved. In Event, we can also see all the events that are linked to this vulnerability. Lastly, we'll be able to see severity metrics of these vulnerabilities, such as, for example, CVSSv4 base score, CVSS vector, and so on. Now, let's return to the main page of Vulnerability Intelligence and navigate to the Threat Landscape Overview, which is permanently displayed. This section categorizes vulnerability into 7 key areas, such as in the news, ransomware, or even recently actively exploited. Let's click, for example, on in the news to see the vulnerabilities that are currently receiving media coverage. This allows security teams to stay aware of high-profile threats. In this view, we can see the vulnerabilities that have been widely reported, making it easier for teams to focus on vulnerabilities with potential reputational impact. We can also see that those CVEs that are in the news affect 23 assets of my environment. Now, the query builder is another key feature, allowing to search for vulnerabilities by attributes such as CVSSv4, such as EPSS score, or even exploit maturity. Or if you want specific CVE IDs, imagine a customer scenario where your team needs to identify vulnerabilities actively exploited in the wild. You can filter this by EPSS score, for example, to pinpoint the most likely threats. This targeted view makes it easier to prioritize resources and remediate effort. For example, you can filter assets with high exposure to vulnerabilities, you can filter assets with CVSS scores as mentioned before, or simply by categories like in the news. This ensures that the most significant risks are seen. So, to recap, Tenable Vulnerability Intelligence and Security Center provides cybersecurity team with robust tools to identify, prioritize, and act on vulnerabilities. With features like CVSSv4 and EPSS scoring, the threat landscape categorization, and reporting, your team can stay ahead of potential threats. Thank you for joining this demonstration and stay tuned for more updates on Tenable Security Center.